Some people will take a year to learn a language, but do you know that you can actually take 2 months to learn a language? It's even more effective when you're actually being so intense in the space of 2 months than a space of 1 year. Why? Because you have totally immersed yourself into the language. You're always chatting in the language. You're always trying to speak the language. You're watching movies in the language. Everything you're doing, you are trying to do in the language. I have Chinese friends that can look at your write-up and you can also practice Chinese with them too. When it comes to this exam, your speed is very, very important. Your grade and your speed. You might know a lot, but if you're not able to finish.
I'm sick of all these thoughts that are stuck in my head. I'm sick of wishing I could just forgive and forget. I'm sick of all these thoughts that are stuck in my mind, my mind, my mind.
Hello everyone, welcome back again to my channel. My name is Omar and I want to welcome you to this very video. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about HSK because this is the one thing that a lot of people have been talking about, asking me a lot of questions. And today's video, I'm just going to be talking about it because I think I have experience in preparing for this exam. And also, you guys already know that from next year, a lot of you guys might be writing exams before you be admitted to your schools. And I'm actually thinking that the exam that a lot of you guys will be writing is practically HSK because I know these people, they really, really love their language. They love Chinese. So I'm thinking in my head that, okay, maybe the exam that students are going to be writing is going to be HSK exam. But also, it might not be HSK, right? But this video is just to guide you. Today, I received a very, very funny question and it's actually pushed me to even come and talk about HSK. Let me read the question for you guys. It's a very, very funny question. To be honest, you guys asked the most hilarious questions. I need HSK 4 certificates. Can you tell me how to get it without taking an exam? I get a lot of questions from WeChat because most of my audience concerning scholarship opportunities and concerning coming to China are from WeChat. So I get a lot of questions. So I said, you know what? I think I should do that video. Yeah, I should do that video. The first thing that I would advise you to do is to actually familiarize yourself with the HSK exam, the HSK level, because depending on the one you're going to be writing, guys, we have HSK 1, 2, 3, to even HSK 6. And I even heard that HSK 7. I don't know how true it is that, but I heard that some people are going to be writing HSK 7. But for you guys that are doing masters, bachelors, and PhD, you don't have to stress yourself about HSK 7 or HSK 6. For those of you that are going to be doing your bachelors, you're going to be probably writing HSK 4. Then for those of you doing masters and PhD, you're going to be writing HSK 5. So those are people doing Chinese thoughts, okay? But for those of you that are doing your major in English, you don't really have to stress yourself about the whole HSK and everything. But make sure that you familiarize yourself with the exam. Try to practice the exam. There are a lot of videos actually on YouTube that can actually help you with this. So please try to familiarize yourself with the exams, okay? The next thing I'll advise you is to assess your level. Some of you that are probably trying to be writing like HSK 4, and then assessing your level means to start from HSK 1. If it's very easy for you, go to 2, 3, 4. Some people will want to jump. There's one of my students, which I genuinely love her own as in tactic, her own skill was that she's ever from HSK 1. I mean, she wrote the exam for HSK 1 and she passed it. And then she went ahead to write the HSK 2 and then she wrote HSK 3, 4. I think she has written 2. She's yet to write 3. She's preparing for 3 and then she'll write 4 because she's trying her bachelor's. So for her, personally for me, I was even really, really surprised that someone would want to do HSK 1 then 2, then 3, then 4. I mean, prepare for the exam is different from actually going ahead to write the exam. So this was, she was actually writing the exam, getting herself familiarized with everything. And, I think it's really, really good because now you're already familiar with how the whole exam is. Though those of us in China, we don't do that. I mean, we don't even have time. Some people, some schools, they'll give you the 1 year that you can come to the school, study for 1 year before you actually start, thinking about writing HSK. And some people are not even so prepared, but they still pass. So that's to tell you that there are some people who don't even know how to speak Chinese, but they still pass the exam. So my dear, just try to study really, really hard. I mean, even for the Chinese, but when they see this HSK, they used to be like, nah, this is very difficult. Like, so those of you that are writing it and you're always scared, it's normal to be scared. But if you are well prepared, then you have no reason to actually be scared. The third advice I'll give you is to try to create a study plan. Let me tell you, planning is just halfway to getting there. Like, it's just halfway to success. A lot of people don't like to plan. I know some of my friends, they don't believe in planning. They just believe in preparing and getting it done. But for me, personally, when I want to achieve a goal, I have to plan. Yes. So plan your time. Some of you, you may say, yes, I want to write it. I want to write exam. I want to do this. I want to do that. But you will not have time to prepare for the exam. So it's always important for you to plan and prepare for the exam. Set a goal. I remember for me, because I know I was going to write HSK 5, I literally printed out HSK 5. I printed out HSK 5 and I put it there on my vision board. And a lot of people, when they come to my room, they just be seeing HSK 5, Chinese. It really, really helps me because sometimes I've even forgotten I'm supposed to be preparing for HSK, and then someone comes to my room and the person is like reading my goals back to my ears, and I'm like, oh my God, it's true. I have to go prepare for this exam. So it's always good for you to actually plan ahead, write your goals and prepare, because this exam, especially if you're writing HSK 5, is actually very, very difficult. Though someone told me that HSK 5 is easier than HSK 4, which I don't think so, because for HSK 5, the amount of words you have to learn is a lot compared to HSK 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. In short, 1 and 2 is just baby steps. I mean, but for 3, 4, 5, I mean, that's when they make it difficult. HSK 1 to 3 is mostly about the speaking, right? Trying to perfect the speaking. But I think from 4, 5, then you have to know how to write. You need to know how to write like comprehension in Chinese. Also, you need to ensure that you're able to get all the necessary preparatory tools for you. You can always get this online on YouTube. When I was preparing for mine, I already have all these books because I actually bought them from Taobao. It's actually a platform that a lot of us buy a lot of things in China. So I bought a lot of textbooks. Also, some of my friends who had actually graduated were kind enough to give me their books. So I remember that I took this book it had like 5,000 words, just above. And he gave me his book. It's almost like a dictionary. So a lot of people who were graduating actually gave me their book, tried to prepare me and tell me how they were able to prepare for the exam. And also, I also bought my own book so that I could also revise, all the words and get familiar with everything. So it's always good for you to get the right materials. You can always get this online, or you can just, download the words, right? Words. When you've downloaded the words, then you need to know how to use the words. You need to know how to familiarize yourself with it. Because sometimes I feel like when you're learning Chinese, you get to forget a lot of words. I mean, you get to forget a lot of words. So you need to keep reminding yourself. I mean, even me, now that I've learned some Chinese, I speak some Chinese. Today, I was speaking Chinese to one of my Chinese friends. And I forgot student. I know what student is, Suisheng. But I mean, when I wanted to say Suisheng, it was sounding weird. Like, is this Suisheng? Am I wrong? Sometimes these things happen, you get to forget. That's why it's always good to still go back to your books and revise, get familiar with the words so that you would not go there and fumble. Which lead me to the fifth point, which is try to practice regularly. I mean, when you're going to be doing 1 year Chinese is all you're going to be doing. Don't just practice all by yourself. Try to speak with the local Chinese people. Try to practice some of these words, because sometimes you may learn some words, but when you're saying it, you're not going to pronounce it well. And you need to also perfect your speaking too. It's not just about learning the words. You also need to perfect your speaking. So remember, you're perfecting your listening, you're perfecting your speaking, you're perfecting your writing, you're perfecting your reading. To be honest, reading is very, very difficult. Like, I feel like reading is always the hardest when it comes to language, even in English. Like, for IELTS, reading is very, very difficult. Even Chinese, reading is very, very difficult. Why is this difficult? Because you're working with time. You have to be fast. Some people don't even read the passage. I'm telling you, when you're writing the reading exam, they don't read the passage. They just look for keywords. They just try and focus on looking for the keywords. So if you can also do this, it will really, really help you. I mean, it will really, really help you to just familiarize yourself on how to, know these things. That's why you have to practice a lot. Okay. Another thing that helped me, which is the sixth point, is actually having friends or joining a group. I remember when I was writing this exam, there was this group where it was like a Chinese group. I mean, if you're in China, of course, the Chinese teachers will always do this. They will create a group and put you all in that group. But some of you that are probably writing this exam from home and you don't have maybe the luxury of having friends, Chinese friends, or other nationalities that are also learning the language, it's always good to try to find someone that both of you can actually study together, get to discuss your difficulties together and everything to really, really help. Okay, finding a group partner and will really, really help you. That's what I really think this will help. I mean, when I was actually learning and studying, I just remember that at a point I was really so discouraged. I wasn't understanding anything. I wasn't feeling like I was making any progress. But because I had some friends that we were all studying Chinese together, I remember I would be telling them my issues, and they also were facing all similar issues with me. So it was so easy for me to not feel discouraged. Remember, I'm like, okay, it's not like I'm crazy. This is actually hard. It's not like I'm crazy. This is not easy. So the moment you have people like this, support system, it will really, really help you. And I mean, good support system will really, really help you. I remember when I was preparing for the HSK, and at a point I gave up. I really gave up and I was like, I'm done. I mean, I'm doing this Chinese. It's so difficult. Is it because of masters? I'm going back home. And I remember calling my mom and I was just crying, telling her I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And she was just like, okay, come back. So what are you trying to say? You're not smart, you're not intelligent, that you cannot get this done? You can do this, you can do this. Then she was saying, oh, what about other students? Do you think they're better than you? Those who can speak Chinese, those who are learning the Chinese, they're not better than you. You can do it, blah, blah, blah. The reason why I was so discouraged was because I just felt like, this is so difficult. I need to prepare my mind. I need to prepare myself for how difficult it was going to be. So it was really, really frustrating, especially the fact that every time I'm learning new words and I'll always forget them. So it was so frustrating to me. But I just remember that because I had the right people, the right support system, it really, really encouraged me, really, really helped me. And those ones that were always so discouraging, telling me all the negative things, I always avoided them. I mean, when I came, there was this person that was always telling me, oh, there was one girl, she came, she was trying to prepare for the HSK and she failed and they sent her back home. Imagine someone telling you that. I mean, and I'm struggling with the Chinese. But she was telling me that and it literally broke me. It discouraged me. I remember after she told me that, because I was new, I went back to the international office and I was telling them, please, I want to change my course. I cannot do this. This course, this Chinese is very, very difficult. And they said, no, you've chosen this course, you have to do it. And I remember just going back and I was just crying. That was when I was new, like the first day I entered the class. Then alongside, when I was studying, it was so difficult. And that's when I called my mom. I'm like, I'm done. Mommy pushed me, and then she talked some sense into my head. And it made me just believe in myself. I just needed to just believe in myself. It doesn't matter whether I failed or whatever. I'm giving up. I'm not even tried, and I'm already giving up. So this is something that you always want to remind yourself. It's very difficult preparing for HSK and preparing for the Chinese. But if you have that encouragement, right? If you have that belief in yourself, it will keep you going. And even though you failed the exam, you're not going to be all sad and depressed because I mean, language generally is very, very difficult, especially if it's not something that you learned from childhood. It's very, very difficult. Even for the Chinese people, HSK five exam is very, very difficult. So please and please keep encouraging yourself, keep pushing yourself, do not give up, okay? The next tip I'll be talking about is try to take mock exams. This mock exam will just help you so that you know what you're getting yourself into when you're going to write the main exam. The mock exam is almost similar with the main exam, but you're just trying to test yourself, your timing, your speed, and also your grade, because that's actually the main thing. The main thing is your grade. So taking mock exams will really, really help you. Try to take as many as possible. Time yourself. See, the first thing is to actually learn it. And I always tell people that, see, as much as we want to pass and everything, make sure you go through all the ones that you failed. So as you're taking the mock exams, you want to still revise, go through the ones that you're making mistakes, the ones that you're failing. I'm trying to make it like nice, but make sure you go through them, know your errors, correct yourself, and it will help you to do better next time. Okay, also, there are two parts to taking mock exam. The first part is just like knowing the skill, learning it. The second part is testing your speed, because when it comes to this exam, your speed is very, very important. Your grade and your speed. You might know a lot, but if you're not able to finish. So it's always good for you to be very, very fast. Time yourself, okay? Another thing that will really, really help you is to actually find maybe a Chinese friend or a Chinese speaker that you can actually share your writing to, or you can practice the speaking with. Because, I mean, sometimes when we are writing, there's nobody that is probably going to like look at what we're writing. Some of us, we're using like Baidu, some of this app, language translating app. I'm not saying you should not use language translating app, but let me tell you something that you probably don't know. In China, sometimes there's some translation when we translate with the translating app that is not correct. So you want to, even though you're using the translating app, you also want to reach out to a Chinese person or a Chinese teacher and show this Chinese teacher what you've written so that they can be able to correct you. Sometimes we actually do rubbish. So that's why you want to have like a Chinese friend who will look at what you've done. Even me, I used to do it when I'm even singing. Like when I'm singing a Chinese song, I also used to do this. Sometimes I would actually reach out to my Chinese friend, send her a video of maybe the Chinese song I did and be like, did I get it? Because sometimes we might be saying a word in Chinese, but we're not using the right tonation. We're not using the right thing. We're not pronouncing it well. So that's when your friend, your Chinese friend, or the Chinese teacher will come and help you. They will correct you on what you're not saying well, on what you're not doing well. This will really, really help you. So remember to do this. Have Chinese friends that can look at your write-up, and you can also practice Chinese with them too. Also, try to immerse yourself in this language. Let me tell you something that would help you, or something that I actually learned from some of my friends. I mean, they even would change their phone totally to Chinese, change their laptop totally to Chinese so that they get so used to the Chinese words. I mean, they get so familiar with the Chinese words. There were some people, they never even used to chat with English anymore. They change and they start chatting in Chinese. Some people, when they are speaking, they don't speak English anymore. They speak with Chinese. They chat with Chinese, change their setting. They totally immerse themselves in this language. And sometimes some people, some guys, I know some guys, but I've not really heard of girls doing this. But there are some guys, because they really, really want to know this language, they'll go ahead to date Chinese girls so that they can actually know the language. So you need to be able to immerse yourself in this language. When you are watching watch Chinese movies. When you are listening to songs, listen to Chinese songs. I mean, one of the best and fastest ways to learn a language is to be intense. I mean, be so intense. Some people will take a year to learn a language, but do you know that you can actually take 2 months, a month, 3 months to learn a language? It's even more effective when you're actually being so intense in a space of 2 months than a space of 1 year. Why? Because you have totally immersed yourself into the language. You're always chatting in the language. You're always trying to speak the language. You're watching movies in the language. Everything you're doing, you are trying to do in the language, even though you do not understand at the moment, because obviously when you start, you are going to be frustrated. You're not going to understand what you're saying or what you're doing. Most times when someone is speaking Chinese to you, or when you're watching a Chinese movie and you are not even using the subtitle, you're not using any English subtitle, everything is in Chinese, it's going to be very difficult and frustrating. But I'm telling you, it's very, very effective. Immerse yourself, learn the culture, and also love the language. Even if you have to pretend, fake it. Fake it because you want to learn the language. See, this is the secret to learning any language. The moment you even learn Chinese language, you can be able to learn other languages. I'm telling you, you can be able to learn other languages. For me, today, I was speaking Chinese. And yes, there were so many things I didn't remember or I didn't know. But I was so bold to speak the language, and I was speaking the language. And I was like, oh my God, I'm actually speaking Chinese. And when the Chinese one was speaking to me, I was understanding what she was saying, which was so weird because I used to struggle with listening. When you speak Chinese to me, I would not understand. But now I was like, I'm actually talking in Chinese. How am I doing this? And I think that one of the things that really helped me was that my teachers, they were really, really good. They made sure that the way we speak Chinese, the pronunciation of Chinese, our pronunciation was very, very good. And then they made sure that we had good listening. Even though we did not know a lot of words, but at least the few words that we knew, like, we could say it properly. Do you understand? So try your best that as you're teaching yourself this language, you want to be talking like a native Chinese so that when you are speaking to a Chinese person and they'll be like, what are you saying? If you are learning HSK 1, make sure you are saying it very well. Make sure you are learning the pronunciation, you're learning very well, because the basic is very, very important to the basic. So the moment you get the basic right, then you can be able to get other ones right. Okay, I remember like there's some black girls on my floor when they are speaking Chinese. God, I was like, it sounds so irritating to hear that Chinese. Though they knew so much and they were speaking it so confidently, but they were not saying it rightly. They were not saying it rightly. And in my mind, I used to imagine myself that how when they are speaking to Chinese people, even though they will understand what they are saying, but to them, they will not feel like you are actually saying it rightly, you know? So try to make sure that as you're learning the language, that you are making sure that you are getting everything right. Which lead me to the final tips that really, really help you in learning Chinese. Please practice. I cannot even emphasize this enough. I mean, even till now, I still feel like I don't know Chinese. Everybody will still say they don't know Chinese. Even the people that know Chinese, they still think they don't know Chinese. I'm serious. Even the people that are so fluent, because it's language, you're always going to be learning new stuff. I mean, I've been speaking English all my life, but there are sometimes when I'm preparing for some English exams and I'm just like, I don't know this. I'm not getting high scores. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Because language is a level. You just start, get level for this thing. So try your best to practice. Try your best to never feel like you're there yet, especially if you have goals of doing this language for long. Because let me tell you something, Chinese is one of the most important language in the world. I mean, if you know how to speak Chinese so well, when you go back to your country or any country that you go to, you have a high chance of getting a job. What am I saying? Even in China, the fact that you can speak Chinese, you have a high chance of getting a good job. So try your best, perfect this language, and I'm telling you, it will really, really help you. I hope, guys, this video was helpful. If it was, please give this video a thumbs up, like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you have anything that you want to ask me, you can actually leave it down in the comment section below. I'll see you guys there. Okay? Bye, guys.